My name is Jamin Goecker. I'm a realtor in South Central Alaska, and my mission is to help you to build an intentional and significant legacy for yourself and your family by coaching you in real estate. And the purpose of today's video is to go over kind of an interesting topic I haven't really done before, and that is talking about the different regions of the state. And you want to be kind of careful that you're moving into the right region that's kind of the right flavor for you. Keep in mind, this is not the definitive one way or the other. I'm not trying to steer you in one direction or the other. These are just kind of my observations. And there's going to be some regions of the state I quite frankly don't really know that much about because I haven't been there, but I'll go and share with you what I do have. But before we get started, as always, do make sure you give this video a like. If you haven't done so already, do subscribe. And let's go and jump into what it's like living and being in different regions of the state. The first region that we're going to look at is Southeast Alaska. Now this is going to be kind of like the little chain of islands you see going down to the southeast. It's going to be primarily small communities over here. They're going to be pretty tight knit, and it's going to be very dependent on the ferry system. You do get planes that'll fly in there, but they're going to be little puddle jumpers, and for the most part you're not going to be getting big airliners that are going to be going into these smaller communities. So not a whole lot going on in Southeast. They do happen to have the capital for the state, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because you can't get there by driving, and it's very isolated, whereas most of the population actually lives further north. But hey, let's open up a can of worms of local politics. So let's leave that alone. But I will also say this, pretty small, tight-knit community as a whole. They're going to be pretty welcoming. They know most of their local economies depend on cruise ships and tourism coming through. So they're going to be pretty nice, but also they kind of want you to get out, like as soon as you're done. Because understand, if they're moving over in Southeast Alaska, it's not because they love being around a ton of people, okay? So they understand the need to have the cruise ships and everything going through, not necessarily going to be rolling out the red carpet like in Beauty and the Beast. So that's something to keep in mind. Winters there are going to be pretty mild for the most part. It's going to be more or less like a rainforest, something more like Seattle. So, you know, this sounds like your cup of tea. Southeast Alaska might just be the thing for you. Next, let's take a look at South Central Alaska. Like I said, this is where most of the population is going to live, primarily in Anchorage. Roughly about half the state lives in that city alone. And other than that, the other big communities is going to be Palmer and Wasilla. So this is a great part of the state just because you do have a lot of great outdoor options, but you also have the conveniences of having a large city. You're going to have most of the big, name brands and stuff like that around here, and that's going to be really good if you're looking for shopping. Anchorage does have no sales tax, so that's also great as well. Other than that, this is where most of the jobs are going to be also. So when people are looking at moving here, this usually is kind of where they gravitate towards. As a whole, the culture is going to be pretty transitory just because we do have quite a few military folks that are coming in, and might have some seasonal workers that come in as well. So it's not quite as tight-knit of a community as you would have in, let's say Skagway, Southeast Alaska, other places like that. But it is still a shared culture up here that you're going to help out the next guy coming in, because it wasn't too long ago that for most people that you were new here yourself. So that's kind of the culture of South Central Alaska. If something bad happens, everyone just kind of pulls together as a community and makes it happen. And that's awesome about South Central Alaska. Next, let's talk about the Kenai Peninsula. So this actually, I kind of refer to it as South Central Alaska's fun backyard that we go to play in, okay? So they've got all the regular hunting, all that great stuff, and they've got great salmon runs that go right through there. So if you're looking to fill up on salmon, maybe go dip netting on the Kenai or Kasilof rivers, Kenai Peninsula is probably going to be where you want to go. Now, the culture of the communities on the Kenai, it is going to be very much so, very tight-knit community over there, and they're going to be pretty receptive to people coming in from the outside for the most part. You just got to kind of respect their rules and not come in and try to change a bunch of stuff, okay? They're kind of like having the way that they have it, but for the most part, they are pretty receptive. You know, they actually do see quite a bit of the state also, just because, you know, the Kasilof and Kenai is where you can go dip netting. If you've been up here for, I think it's at least a year, you can go dip netting down there. And so they see a lot of the state kind of cycling through as we're all going down there and filling up our salmon harvesting carts. They kind of have two crowds of people coming in for them. They have the other Alaskans in the state, and they have straight up tourists that are kind of just going through. So, you know, great little communities down there. Seward's there, Homer's there. Obviously, Kenai is over there as well, Soldotna. So there's some great little towns and communities there, and you get some pretty good conveniences. It's going to be just kind of a small town, not really like a village necessarily where you feel like you're living off grid or something, but it is definitely small communities over there. Time to take a quick break. So, for those of you who have been listening to me for a while, you do know that I actually do host a podcast in addition to the Alaska Realtor YouTube channel that's called Alaskan Journey. Link for that is going to be down below. I'm actually going to be kicking that up. In the upcoming months here, I was kind of forced to take a break during the summertime just because things got so busy and had so many people I was helping, which is a good thing, but definitely the podcast definitely did suffer. In that podcast, we talk about the authentic experiences of those who are currently living up here in Alaska or have lived up here before. And as a part of that, I'm going to be interviewing people that I've worked with who've moved up here recently and can share their experiences for you for kind of their insider tips and tricks. So do make sure you check that out, and we'll be launching that in the upcoming month or so here. Other than that, let's jump back into today's video. Now, the rest of the areas that we're going to be talking about in this video, I don't really have a whole lot of experience in, okay? I've gone through some of the areas that we're talking about. I haven't really spent like a real extended amount of time. My experience has primarily been in Southeast, South Central, Kodiak, and that's pretty much been it. I've definitely spent time on the some of these places, which includes the interior, which is going to be the one we're going to talk about now. So when we're looking at the interior, Fairbanks is going to be the biggest piece or biggest center of the population in that area. You're going to have lots of really small towns / villages over there, and that's going to be more or less where you see a lot of people kind of living off grid over there. Well, those who are actually doing it. So that's going to be primarily the area that they're doing it. Those that are talking about these really extreme Alaska winters, that's more or less going to be the area. South Central, Kenai, Southeast, you're not really going to see those extreme winters. It's when you start going north and get to the interior where things do actually start getting kind of extreme as far as the winters go, and then it actually gets pretty hot during the summer. So as far as the culture goes on the interior, they're going to be a pretty hardy group of people. You don't go to the interior because you're a super social person and you want to see everybody. They're going to be nice enough, but they understand most people are transitory just with being military or working on the oil field, or even just going through, people coming through on the Alcan. So they're going to be nice enough, but also they don't expect you to be sticking around. So that's just kind of the culture of the interior. Next place is going to be kind of West Alaska over on the coast. You're going to have like Bethel, Nome over there. Honestly, I've not been there personally. I've talked with a number of people who have been there. My impression is that it's, you know, mostly really small town, really tight knit, and then you have some villages over there as well. Can't really vouch for it very much. Personally, as far as the far north, where we're talking like Barrow and, you know, everything north of like Fairbanks, yeah, that's jumping off the deep end, and at that point you're, you know, what did you do? that's as an Alaskan, that's what I'm thinking. If you're way up there in Barrow, unless you're with the military or the oil field, not a whole lot of reasons to be up there. Sure, I'm going to go visit it at some point here, but you know, that's just kind of everything I know about the far, far north. We're talking about Barrow. So I sure hope this has been useful for you. If it has, you know what to do. Give this video a like. If you have any other questions or thoughts, make sure you post those in the comments section down below. If you need to get a hold of me, do reach out to me on my Facebook page. The link for that is going to be in the description section down below. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.